BrigadeCon proper, unless I'm just lagging and I can't see it. Let's see here. Now it says, I wonder if it's just buffering. I don't know how this works. I'm new to the whole live stream thing. I apologize if I'm derping around a whole lot. We're gonna figure this out together. Okay. So basically, this was going to be a live stream of actual play, but unfortunately, being the new kid on the block, it's very difficult for me to find players in time because everyone's looking at this game like I have no idea how to play that. So you know, I'm hoping that they're like, hey, I'm gonna watch the live stream and figure out how this game works. But unfortunately, I couldn't get. There we go. Fortunately, I couldn't get enough players to actually do that. So instead, I'm going to explain to you how the game works, how you can create a character, what the card mechanic is, because this game has very different conflict resolution methods. Oh yeah, there is a little bit of a lag on the stream there. Then dice. We don't use dice. We use a standard deck of cards. We're going to go over all that. I had you can probably see in the reflection, I had a slick pirate hat ready for the live stream. But unfortunately, since we're not playing, I won't have the opportunity to don this hat. I mean, I suppose I could wear it, but it's with the headphones gets a little bit cumbersome. Okay, so what is Soldiers of Misfortune? What is the Soldiers of Misfortune role-playing game? I like to describe it as a tactical cyber pulp action-adventure game. Now, what does that mean? Instead of your typical like cyberpunk with mohawks, and I know you've probably played Shadowrun. If you're familiar with the cyberpunk genre, you played Shadowrun. It's all very 80s, very neon, very you know, John Carpenter. Okay, I love John Carpenter. Don't get me wrong, but that's not necessarily the tone that this game takes. It's a much darker, grittier game, almost like the 40K universe, but not quite as ecclesiastical. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the stream to my left here. So I'm going to attempt to screen share here. Can I do? Oh yeah, that's fun. Okay, so let's open up the PDF here. Let's start talking about the races. First up, we have humans. Now, most people are human, so I don't think this really needs much explaining. This is the PDF of what you're looking at right now. Is the PDF of the document that you can download for free on soldiersofmisfortuneofficial.com. So, you know, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the humans, if only because I'm sure you can figure it out. Let's just move on. We have Furiacs. Okay, these are bat-like people. They have wings. They can actually fly. Your character can fly, which is pretty badass. They're also have great blind. They have blind fronting. Excuse me, I'm getting distracted by a bunch of different things here. Again, not used to the whole live stream thing. Quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure. Let me switch back real quick. Okay, yeah. Apologies. Furiacs. Furiacs are bat people, plain and simple. They're small, they're mean, they're aggressive, they can fly, they can see well in the dark, and they can eat damn near anything. They have very, very strong tummies, and let's just move on. Let's keep this moving before I start stumbling over myself here. Marthans. Marthans are basically like, we'll call them really tall goth space elves. They typically like to have tattoos, piercings, pointy ears. They either, if they aren't born with pointy ears, they will surgically point them and shave their teeth, file down their teeth. Moving on, we have Ankingo. Ankingo are chameleon people. They have all the benefits of a regular chameleon, except they're bipedal. They can hang from their tail. They can even manipulate things with their tails. They can change the color of their skin at will. They can grab stuff with their tongue, all kinds of fun stuff. Interesting, different races that you probably haven't seen elsewhere. Moving on, Salakii, shark people. If you ever want to just eat crap and beat it up and eat it again, this is the race for you. Character gen, you want to be a shark person, sign me up. They get beefy, but they're not very fast and they're not very smart. They can breathe underwater. They can bite stuff if things are damaged. They hit it a lot harder. And they can gain health through eating stuff, eating live things. Next, we have androids. Androids get a little bit complicated because they can look like any of these races. They can have the visage of any of these other races. But looks like live stream may have stopped. Oh, no, it's still going. Okay, we're catching up. Yeah, they can look like anything, but they don't actually have the benefits. So if you were a Furry-X android, you look like a Furry-X, but you can't fly. You know, you have the wings cosmetically, but you don't actually get to benefit from flight. Same with, you know, on Kingdom, the chameleon people. You look like one, but you can't actually take advantage of your tongue or the tail. You just don't have the articulation. The two varieties of android, essentially legal and illegal. Legal androids have eyes and hair or skin color that clearly identifies them as synthetic. This is because average fleshy folk want to be able to know if you are fake or not. Illegal androids are the opposite. You can't tell. As we were developing android technology, they got excited. They're like, hey, check this out. We can make people that look, or we can make robots that look like people, but aren't. And then they realized, oh, wait, we can make people, we can make robots that look like people, but aren't. This might be a problem, guys. So after some intense legal battles and a lot of confusion amongst the early prototypes of androids, they eventually decided that we have to clearly identify them and brand them. Now what that means in game is kind of up to your GM. If they are going to enforce those rules, there could be a bounty out on your head if you're an illegal android. If not, you know, they could be, there's the natural racism for Xenos life around the universe, but you know, a lot of people don't like synthetics. You know, it's up to your GM how they want to play that out, if at all. I mean, you could just take the stat benefits and move on with it. And you know, synthetics they have firewalls because you can hack into them. You can be hacked into. If somebody is particularly tech savvy, you know, another player or the GM, they could actually hack into a player and manipulate them. This also goes for people with cybernetics. We'll get into cybernetics a little bit later. You're also more susceptible to certain weapon types. This could really, really hose you in little combat if you overload or if you start losing actions. Could be a problem. You know, it's something to consider. Are the benefits worth it? Is that, you know, what do you want to do with your character? Really, it's up to you. These are, I'm kind of glossing over these because I have a bunch of tutorials online already on YouTube. It goes into them a little bit deeper, but I want to give everyone who is watching right now just kind of a brief overview of what is available to you, so you can start to get a taste for this world that I've created. Yeah. Moving on, we'll go to professions. Professions are really just a way for you to start out with some skills and figure out how much money you have, and they also start to gear your character up in a certain direction. It starts to leverage who you're going to be and how you're going to play this character. They aren't, this is a classless system. The Soldiers of Misfortune role-playing game is a classless system. It's not like you pick fighter and then you're locked into the fighter skills and the fighter feats, and whatever fighters do, you have to go around and fight. No. The Soldiers of Misfortune role-playing game is a skill-based system. You get to allocate points. Well, you know what? Why don't we'll get to skills here in just a second. You can be anything you want to be, you know, just like the army. Let me take a sip of water here. Attributes. I'm sure you've all seen these before. If you ever played D&D, Shadowrun, White Wolf games, whatever, damn near every role-playing game has attributes in it. A lot of video games have attributes in them. This isn't new to you. I'm sure these are all very familiar, apart from luck. Luck is one you don't see very often, but being a soldier of misfortune, luck actually plays a very pivotal role in this game. We'll go over some of the more specific things that luck manipulates a little bit later in this broadcast. But for now, I guess all you have to do is be aware of it. As you create your character, you get to allocate these points. Let me pull up a character sheet. Go to my Creative Cloud. We'll do Falgar. So this is an example of a pre-made character that I have created. Let me zoom in a little bit. One that you would have been able to play if you sign up for a game. We have our attributes here. At character generation, character creation, you get to allocate 12 points, however you want. Let me zoom in on this a little bit further. We get to allocate 12 points however we want. So Falgar here, he is one of the shark people, a Salakii. He decided to put most of his points into strength and physique because he's a big, brawny pit fighter. It's kind of his deal. Now he had to sacrifice a couple other stats. We can talk, actually since we're here, we might as well talk about it now. Your strength is going to impact how much damage you can do in melee combat. Physique is how much damage you can take. So that's going to add to your damage reduction and your physique skills, which we'll get to in just a moment. Agility are your action points, and your speed, your precision with firearms, that sort of thing. Action points allow you to take more actions during combat. So everybody gets 1 plus whatever their agility is. In this case, 3 for Falgar. Falgar doesn't need a firewall because he's not synthetic. Now he has cybernetics, as we can see down here. But none of that can really be hacked into. I guess it depends to the GM. They could decide if they want to do that, in which case his firewall would be 2. We can take this value, bump it up here. Charisma, he's pretty derpy. He's not a very personable guy. So he's only got 1. Charisma doesn't actually affect another statistic, but it does affect your contacts, which we'll get into shortly. And then luck. We'll go over get lucky in a little bit. There's a lot to go over. We're going to hit a lot of stuff. I'm trying to give you guys the whole shebang here. He is not very lucky. Falgar is not a lucky man. But he gets to draw 2 get lucky cards during combat. I'll explain that a little bit more once we get to that section. Moving on, we have our skills. In a lot of games, D&D, I think, is probably the worst culprit. I haven't honestly played 5th edition yet, but I remember in 3 and 3.5, to accomplish a certain task, it would take like 3, 4, 5 skill checks to do it. And I always felt that that was kind of like redundant. It's like I'm putting all my points into something. I want to be good at it. I shouldn't have to make a bunch of different checks. So when I designed this skill system, excuse me, let me take a drink of water. When I designed this skill system, I wanted things to be simple. I wanted you to just have a general skill that takes care of a lot of different things. So, for example, intelligence, we have tech war, technological warfare. Now, we could have a separate hacking skill. We could have a computer manipulation skill. We could have, you know, security drones. We could have all kinds of different stuff. But instead, I just bundle it into one skill. I think it's easier if you want. You can, the GM can ask you to make, you know, multiple tech war checks or multiple whatever checks. But ultimately, it keeps the game moving, and it keeps, you know, people having fun, and that's the whole point. Yeah. Brief overview of skills. I'm going to go over actual skill checks in just a minute. We're going to pop up into Roll20 here and have a look at how the card system works, because unless you played, say, Through the Breach or Malifaux or something, you probably never actually played a game that has just a standard deck of cards used for conflict resolution. I'm not sure. If there are other games, let me know. I'd love to see them. So remember when I said Fulgar? Let's tab to him here. Where did Fulgar go? His charisma is garbage, right? He only gets one contact at character creation. He'll only get one contact, and he doesn't have very many friend points with them. Friend points are important. If you want to score friend points with somebody, you got to do them favors, right? You have obligations that go to your friends. Otherwise, they start to not like you. So in this game, works the same way. If you don't take care of your buddies, they're not going to take care of you. Let's see, who was... I think Fulgar's contact was his coach. Yeah, coach and manager. He happens to have a lot of friend points with him because they have a good history together. But if he were to slight his manager somehow, such as not show up to a gig or fail a drug test, because remember he's a pit fighter, or not have the proper paperwork for any cybernetics he may need, then he might start losing some friend points, and Argus could, who knows, call out a hit. He could make his life easy. He could book him at a kid's party, something lame and humiliating. You want to keep an eye on that. This also creates interesting role-playing opportunities. If one of your players wants to call in a favor from one of their contacts, be like, great, sure, yeah, your drug dealer would love to spot you some whatever, but he's not going to do it for free. And whether the players decide to pay up on that or not, you know, maybe they have to go run an errand for him, maybe they have to find something or help him out. If they choose not to do that, then he might get cranky. And a cranky drug dealer is probably most of them, actually. But anyway, I think you get the idea. Next up, we have talents. Talents are kind of like feats. If you've ever played D&D, they have a pretty big impact on what you're allowed to do in the game. Matter of fact, if you have two otherwise identical characters, you know, statistically they have the same skills, they have the same attributes, the same race, everything else is the same, but they have a couple different talents, those actually play very, very differently. For example, let's see, what are some cool ones? We have oh, got your back. Okay, so got your back. If one of your buddies is getting attacked, you have got your back. You say, don't worry, man, I got your back. You can jump in front of a bullet for him, right? If you're the tank, that's great for you. On the flip side of that, we have Sucks to Be You, which lets you take the meat shield, or whoever you're designating as your meat shield, and pull them in the way of that bullet. Sorry, bro, sucks to be you. And that's just, you know, a few to, let's see, what else do we have here? What are some fun ones? Lucky bastard. You're a lucky bastard. You get to ignore the black joker, and your weapons don't jam. which you'll find out in just a little bit, that is actually very, very significant because you're a lucky bastard. Good for you. Remaining statistics. Let's see, we already talked about action points. It lets you do more things in combat. Your defense is determined by, let's switch over to Falgar here. Your defense is determined by your agility and intelligence. That's how many cards you're going to flip when you're being attacked. So in Falgar's case, if he's being attacked, he gets to flip 3 cards to try and defend himself. Damage reduction, we already talked about that, is your physique plus your armor, which is literal damage reduction. If a weapon is doing 5 damage to you and you have 4 damage reduction, you only take 1 hit point. Gear points, that's how much you can carry. By and large, I like to keep inventory management very loose because it bogs down the game. But there has to be some element of inventory management because if you're carrying, 6 rocket launchers, this isn't Borderlands. Like, come on, you just can't carry that much stuff. So in Falgar's case, since he has a pretty high strength, he can carry up to 30 points of gear. That's pretty good for by himself. Armor and certain other gear that you buy, like a backpack, can increase your gear points, let you carry more stuff. But Falgar, being a beefcake, he can handle quite a bit by himself. Get lucky cards, we talked about that. We're going to hop over into Roll20 here. Just a second, I'm going to show you how the card system works. We can get into more detail about that. Hit points, everyone's familiar with hit points. Don't really need to explain that. Cybernetic points, this is how much tech you can stuff into your body. It's determined by your physique plus 10. If you're an android, you get an additional 5. Because naturally, they can fit more synthetic parts than fleshy counterparts. But this limits the amount of things you can upgrade with. And I'll show you guys some of the sample upgrades here in a moment. And we already talked about your firewall. That is your, essentially, synthetic defense against technological warfare. Let's talk about buying stuff. Let's look at some of the gear. We have some pretty sweet gear in here. Permits, I'm not actually going to get into permits for now. You can read through that on your own. Tables, everybody loves tables. Let's look at some of the more fun weapons, special weapons. We have the light hammer, okay? The light hammer, if you ever played Gears of War, the Hammer of Dawn, I believe is what they called it, that giant thing that shoots out of the sky and just like destroys buildings and the big spider dudes and all that jazz. That's what this is. You can buy one for the low price of 10,000 credits. Bring it on your mission, lay waste to whatever it is that you need to lay waste. Yeah, good stuff. We like big boomers. You'll see in the abilities here, particularly with melee weapons, once we get into upgrades on firearms, it will be more apparent because a lot of the firearms don't have as many abilities. But if we're looking at melee weapons here, a lot of these abilities have symbols next to them. What do these symbols mean? Well, these are actually suits. I'll show you the deck of cards here in just a moment. So if, while I am attacking with my short blade, I happen to flip one of these soldier suits here, and I declare it, then it procs the effect bleed. And we have other fun effects. Bleed, obviously, like the character is bleeding, they take damage over time. Onslaught doubles damage after armor. Dismember can literally take limbs off of people. Fracture breaks bones. This is a very, very brutal game. Be prepared for that. When you're in the middle of combat, things go wrong very, very quickly. Let's go into upgrades. Let's look at this pistol. So it has... So let's say I just bought a pistol, right? Pistol has decent starting stats, but it's by no means... wow, there we go. It's by no means an end-all be-all kind of weapon. So we're going to throw some upgrades on it. Each piece of gear, weapons, armor. They have 10 upgrade points. In the case of the pistol, it starts with 1 free, and that is exclusive. You have to pick one or the other. You can't have both. In this case, we'll say it's a solid projectile, so it ups the damage grade. Then I can spend credits, which is of course our currency, to buy these other upgrades to my weapon. Up to 10 points worth. So I could do one of each across the line. I can mix and match them. I could do, let's see, the solid projectile, the board barrel, the long slide, and well balanced. What does that put me at? 3, 7, 8. So then I could move up to the basic upgrades like a silencer or security system if I wanted to fill those last few slots. Or I could just take the really heavy duty ones, precision parts and hair trigger. That bring me up to 9 because the 2 times 4 points each is 8 plus the 1 that I need to pick, 9, and then again I can move up to my basic firearm upgrades, maybe a melee attachment, but like a hatchet on the end of it. That'd be kind of cool. You can soup up your weapons and increase them over time. You'll make them better over time. It gives you something to do while still being your dual-wielding pistol arrow Yahoo kind of guy. Let's move on down. Demolitions. We don't really need to talk about demolitions right now. Armor is pretty self-explanatory. It helps you not die, but it can also give you certain effects. You can mark your enemies if you get a target beacon on light armor. You can mark your enemies, granting yourself and allies an additional card to hit. You can have extra pockets, lets you hold more stuff. Make yourself immune to free strikes. All kinds of fun abilities. Now it's kind of expensive. I suppose you don't have a point of reference right now, but 8 credits, that's pretty decent. That's like $800. So really souping one of these up, it takes a little bit of an investment, but it allows you to add character generation. Buy something for cheap, or buy the low tier, and as you level up, you can increase it. You can make it better. You don't have to keep switching your gear out. You can just make your gear better. That saves on a lot of the racing. I'm actually making cards right now so that you can just trade cards back and forth. Let me pull up one of them. So you'll be able to take these cards and trade them amongst other players at the table. You'll have upgrades that you can use and just stack them underneath your card, and it's going to be a lot easier than having to erase and rewrite and the typical paper and pencil stuff. I'm trying to make this a more tactile experience for players. But of course, I'm always open to ideas. One of the benefits of me being the creator and you having a direct line to me is that you can tell me what you want. You can tell me what you want next in the game, what you want to see more of, what kind of peripherals you want, what kind of gear you want, what kind of, I'm here to serve the players. I think games are for players. I don't think that players are for games. I always get very frustrated with companies that treat their game like the players owe them something. I don't think that's true. I think that the game, if anything, owes the players a good time. And if the game isn't doing that, then why are you playing it? Like, you guys have so little time and limited finances. You want to enjoy when you can. And that's kind of what my game is I'm trying to make it about. Anyway, we're getting into philosophy there. I can talk for days on how I feel that the system should be run, but people who are much more successful than I make those decisions. Anyway, you have a fun peekaboo grenade, which turns you invisible, and everything else around you invisible. The blink bracelet, this is gear, by the way, not like weapons. These are just items that you can have on you. Lets you teleport. That's badass, right? I like teleporting. You can do all kinds of shenanigans with that. But if you use it too much, you might get sucked into an interdimensional vortex and never be heard from again. So you know, use at your own risk. But hey, it'll be really cool when you do it those first few times. We don't need to go over that. Mecha suits. You like Gundams? You like big mech dudes that can blow stuff up? Here you go. Sink points into that. You can be a Gundam pilot. You can get. You ever watch Zoids back in the day on Toonami? You can get them. All kinds of fun stuff. You know, obviously the art situation here is a little sparse. I'm working on it. I'm a one-man band, doing the best I can with what I got. Drones. You can manipulate drones if you have. Let's see. Let's move back over to Falgar here. Falgar only has one intelligence. He's a derp, so he can only really keep track of one drone at a time. But if you have more intelligence and you sink points into engineering, you can do all kinds of fun stuff with drones. You can have them follow you around and administer, you know, healing gel or attack stuff or be on Overwatch, which it can stay stationary, and whenever something comes into its line of sight, just blows it out of the water. It's badass. But of course, since it is synthetic, there's a chance that it could be hacked into and used against you, just like anything else. But you know, hey, that's fun too. You can cause all kinds of shenanigans. Because of course you can do that to the enemies. If they have drones and you have a skilled hacker on your team, we're gonna hack into those guys and start shooting with their own drones. Why not? Item abilities. We went over a few of those. If you want to pause your screen and peruse those, be my guest. Oh, cybernetics. Yeah, good stuff. You can probably hear my upstairs neighbors playing their bass guitar very poorly. Cybernetics. Remember how much beef we got? Where's the Falgar? Has a physique of 4, so he can take up to 14 points of cybernetics. Well, how much is that really? Well, in the case of skull stuff, you can get all kinds of things. You can get upgraded radars, biometric scanners, vocal modulator. If you wanted to be Shaggy, you ever watch Scooby-Doo where he like impersonates other people and throws his voice? You can do that. You can be Shaggy. No? Crickets? Okay. Subdermal mesh. If you're already a beefcake, you want to be even beefier, just throw some frickin' subdermal mesh under there. Metal alloy bones. Jump from, you can be John McClane it up. Jump from a building, not care. Like whatever, YOLO. If you don't already have chameleon skin, you can give yourself chameleon skin, because why not? It's the future. You want to be Goro? Frickin' get 2 additional arms. Who cares? You got time. Ain't nobody care. You do your thing. You do you. Bionic shields, mag hands. That's pretty close to what is that? Oh man, God, they suck upstairs. If you can't hear that, then I sound crazy, but I can hear it. Mag hands is basically like telekinesis, right? You can will magnetic objects to your hands. That includes weapons. That's tools. That's you know, a pen. If you just want to try to impress the ladies, you can, you know, make something float. Maybe that creeps them out. I don't know. I don't know what the ladies are into these days. Yeah, that's just for funsies. That's some art. Playing the game. Yeah, let's talk about card suits. Actually, let's hop over to Let's see. Let's hop over to Roll20. Take a look at some of these cards here. Oh. My tab skills are failing. Let's close out some of these windows. Let's keep Falgar up. All right. So we're in the Roll20 interface right now. This is our BrigadeCon Roleplayer's overview. Here's my contact information if you want to keep track of stuff. Down here we have our flip zone. I had a bunch of maps set up, as you can see up here, but since we're not actually doing live play, I'm just going to explain how the card system works. Over here we have our deck. I'm going to draw out some cards. Unfortunately, the Roll20 system, like their user interface, does not play very well with cards as of right now. But I'm hoping that, you know, if this game becomes more popular, they will start to integrate more card features so I don't have to manually drag these guys out. Anywho, we have, let's organize these by suit. We have our 4 suits, which actually correspond directly to suits on a normal deck of cards. We have soldiers, which is spades. We have hackers, which is hearts. Diamonds, which is detectives. And clubs, which are corporations. So you don't actually need to buy one of these decks if you don't want to, although I'd appreciate it. You can just play with the normal deck, and the game is exactly the same. These are just for funsies. So let's say, I'm going to delete those. Let's say I am making a skill check. Let's have, let's see, Falgar. Falgar is going to punch, we'll say himself, because we only have one character sheet up right now. So we need to look at his martial arts skill. In this case, he has a rank of 1 in the skill. His strength is 3. He gets to flip 4 cards. Okay? I'm going to flip 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's organize these real quick. Now, after flipping my cards, I have to declare a suit. In this case, it looks like I want to declare detectives because 12 plus 3 is going to bring me up to 15, which is better than I can do on either of these other suits. Now, if I had some kind of a special ability that could be procced by something else, that might be worth it. But for now, I'm going to declare detectives. My value becomes 15, and it goes to the defense. Since he's punching himself, let's look at his defense. 3. So we're going to flip 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3. So let's see. Probably going to go with the ace of hackers here. Or excuse me, the ace of detectives. Which doesn't actually matter because 15 to 14, that means that the punch connects. And he would then take damage. And basically all skills work the same way. Let's say Falgar is trying to patch up the punch that he just took. Okay, we're going to take his medical skill. He has a rank of 1. He has an intelligence of 1. So he only gets to flip 2 cards. It's not great. Since it's just a bruise, as the GM, I'm going to say that his difficulty challenge is 2. So he's going to flip his 2 cards for his skill. And then the GM flips the difficulty challenge of 2, which is also 2 cards. Then he would have declared hackers. The GM is obviously going to declare detectives. Falgar would fail his check. Does that make sense? I have a video on my YouTube channel that goes into the skill system and how these checks work. And I'm also going to create a live combat example for people so that you guys can watch exactly how that works. Let me see, what else? What else is there? Oh, the jokers. Let's find a joker. Let's look at the discard pile. There's a joker. Do I have the other one in here? No. So there are red and black jokers. Red joker is good. Red joker is the shiz. Here, let's just deal 50 cards to my hand. Deal to myself. And then let's look for that black joker. Could have just done 1. Great. All right. Red joker. That's where it's at. You want the red joker. Oh, thank you, Macronomicon. Appreciate it. Red joker, automatic success, and something like baller happens. Okay, so if we're making a flip here, let's say we're gonna just pretend that this is on top of my deck. I'm flipping cards, like, oh, okay, cool, I'm probably going corporations, and I flip the red joker. Doesn't matter what my opponent gets, I succeed. Okay, it does matter what my opponent gets if they get the black joker. Or, excuse me, I'm making this more complicated than it has to be. Black joker is an automatic failure. So if my opponent flipped a black joker and I flipped a red joker, they are just power screwed. Something, I automatically succeed and something great happens. They automatically fail and something horrible happens. If you ever played Edge of the Empire, similar to that, when you do the additional successes, well, this is like 10 additional successes, like, or an advantage, excuse me. So something really cool happens, something really bad happens. If this was the same flip, regardless, so let's just throw this back into my hand. If I had made this flip instead, I'm looking at this like, hey, yeah, 17's great. I'm going to declare that. Screw the black joker. Nah, doesn't work that way. Sorry. The black joker trumps everything. You automatically fail. And all these cards mean nothing. They're just bunk. Yeah. Now, what happens if we both flip black jokers, or we both flip red jokers? Well, ties always go to the defender. So if you were trying to punch me and I got a red, so you got a red joker. You're like, sweet, punch you in the teeth, knocking like 6 of them out. And then I flip a red joker. I'm like, sweet, I dodge your punch and you look like an idiot. Because since this is a tie, we go to the defender. And usually it's kind of fun to narrate why something like that would happen instead of just saying, oh, well, tie goes to the defender, I win, let's move on to the next stat. Freaking narrate it. Like, say something cool. Take this opportunity. This is role playing. Like, do something baller with it. Back in our PDF here. Card value. So the face cards, red joker automatic success. Aces are 14. Kings are 13. Queens are 12. Jacks are 11. And black joker is automatic failure. These are combat. We aren't really going to get into this. It's a little deeper than the scope of this stream. We do need to talk about get lucky cards. Damage and dying. Like I said, it's brutal. You can lose limbs. You can, great. Fortunately, they're cybernetics. You can replace those limbs or get extra ones for all I care. But there is a chance that you will die. If you do die, you get one last. Wow, I can't highlight anything right now. You get one last hurrah, one last frack you to whoever killed you. And for that action, you are considered to have flipped a red joker. So do something cool with it. Because you're going to die. I'm just going to be honest. Your character's going to die, and you're going to have to make a new one. But, hey, that's half the fun of the game, right? We don't need to go over leveling up. These are just some sample challenge ratings. And then this is the stuff that I have in development. If you download this document, you will see all of this. You can read it at your leisure. It's completely free on the website. Let me hop over. Soldiers of Misfortune official.com. You can download it for free, and I encourage you to do so. There are free online tutorials that I encourage you to watch. There are t-shirts that I encourage you to buy. And I did an interview with Joey Diaz a little while back. He's a buddy of mine. You can listen to that if you want. It was actually about a book that I wrote in the Soldiers of Misfortune universe. If you want to sink your teeth into that, feel free to do so. Let's go over Get Lucky cards. What are Get Lucky cards? Let me empty my... Can I? Maybe I can't. Okay. I'm still getting used to Roll20. Let's say I'm making a check of some kind. I'm trying to hit... Well, let's see what the... Let's see here. Let's do this. Okay. Actually, didn't help much. Okay. We're going to delete those. I have 48 cards in my hand. We can manufacture a great situation here. So let's say I only get to flip 2 cards for my check. And my opponent here, let's not use that one. Let's use this. Okay. So this is what the current spread is. I am trying to, we'll say I'm trying to shoot somebody. The best I can do is a 3 right now. That's embarrassing. That's horrible. If I declare detectives, I'm at a 3. Doesn't matter what they declare. They're still going to be higher than me. But for the sake of the game, they're going to declare hackers. Normally, this would resolve as me failing. But the cards in my hand from my Get Lucky skill, or my Get Lucky attribute here, the cards in my hand can replace cards currently on the table. So now I have 43 cards. This is a slightly drastic example, but you get the idea. Let's say I have this 2 in my hand. I can replace the 2 that my opponent declared, or excuse me, replace the 10 with a 2. Now my 3 wins. This idiot, he failed with a 10. He could have declared soldiers, but he didn't. He chose to declare hackers. I replace it to a 2 by getting lucky, and now I'm winning the check. And that's not healthy. Let's move this over so that you can see all that working simultaneously. Now, if my opponent also has cards, they can replace, let's see, they could replace my 2 with a 5. Now all of a sudden I'm losing again. But then I replace my 3 with an 8. We keep getting lucky until we run out of cards, or just decide to concede to whatever the outcome of the check is. And again, this situation, try and think of a fun narrative for it. Take the opportunity to really paint the canvas and go crazy with it. Delete that. Try to think what else. I mean, this is a pretty basic overview. I apologize if I stumbled around a little bit. I am still getting used to how all of this live streaming business works. But if this game sounds cool to you, if you want to check it out, you can download it for free at soldiersofmisfortuneofficial.com. Right over here in the RPG tab, you can download character sheets. You can download the starter kit, which has a character sheet and the game in it. It's absolutely free. I plan to keep it free for a while.